Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. We are so excited to present today the journey that we've been doing with Iveco Group and AWS Professional Services. I'm Alessandro Ricci. I'm a Senior Engagement Manager of AWS Professional Services, and today we are sharing the stage with my super esteemed colleagues here together with me. Now, let's enter directly in the agenda for today's session. Through a concrete taste of what Iveco Group is doing with AWS Professional Services to improve their internal processes, we want to give you the chance to verify the reason why we selected an amount of use cases that we will present today. We also want to deep dive on how we realize those use cases, and also to try to inspire you to give you the chance to deep dive in each of them to understand if they can be applied to your specific business. But before entering in all the use cases, we will give you an overview of who Iveco Group is and understand how professional services is supporting on this journey. At the end of the presentation, we will give the chance also to present the Iveco vision of the future. And at the end of the session, we will stay here close to the stage to give you the chance to ask for any question you might have. But now, let me introduce Pierfrancesco Rizzo from Iveco Group, who will share the company vision and background.
Thank you, Alessandro. Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. I'm really excited to be here and proud to represent my company. And I'm really appreciate to, I want to say thank to AWS for this opportunity. My name is Pierfrancesco Rizzo, and I'm leading the Artificial Intelligence Lab at Iveco Group. Iveco is a company that was born in the 70s thanks to the fusion of 5 industrial OEM brands that were melded under the Fiat holding. After the spin-off from CNH, Iveco Group has become independent in 2022. It is based in Turin and is listed at Milan Stock Exchange. Iveco designs and produces a solution for transport of goods and passengers, as well as industrial engines. It employs more than 36,000 people all around the world. And let me say that with almost 40% of on Italian roads, 1 on 3 vehicles is a commercial vehicle, is a van, or an Eurocargo or an S-Way vehicle. Regarding our brand, Iveco Bus, we have to say that is leader in Italy with more than 44% of market share. And thanks to more than 1,000 electrical vehicles sold in 2024, Iveco Bus is playing a crucial role in the CO2 emission reduction in our city. Regarding the connectivity, we have to say that today we have more than 140,000 connected vehicles producing more than 1 terabyte of data. We do expect that in the next years, this number will increase to 500,000 vehicles by the end of the decade. Iveco Group has closed the 2023 with an annual turnover of more than 16 billion euro. But let me tell you something about my previous experience. I've been working in the automotive field for the last 20 years. And I have to say that the last 5 years has seen an astonishing and unprecedented piece of change. This is the era of no linearity. No linearity because due to the, let me say, the climatic changes, due to the new regulation, due to the emissions, as well the complexity of vehicle customization, as well the extreme innovation that we are facing. As an example, I can tell you that in the last 10 years, 15 years, the diesel engine, this internal combustion engine, has represented for us the key technology for move our vehicles. But due to the challenges and the changes that we are living, we are developing, in the moment we are talking this evening, in Turin and also in all our plants around the world, alternative propulsion system like electrification, hydrogen, and fuel cells. Of course, the challenge is now to change these uncertainties in opportunities. And how we want to win this challenge? The Iveco Group innovation roadmap is based on 3 main pillars. The first one is the sustainability. The second one is the artificial intelligence and software-defined vehicle. Last, we have the autonomous driving. Regarding the first point, we want to achieve an important target that is to reach zero CO2 emission by 2040. Regarding the artificial intelligence, we are leveraging on these new technologies to launch in production more and more products based on AI, as well the software-defined vehicle that will dramatically change the user experience of our customers. Finally, the autonomous driving. The autonomous driving, we are working on the level 2++ technology, and we will launch in production these vehicles in the next years. But let's stay focused on our customer as we respond to the mega trends that are definitely changing the business today. Let's take a look at one of these key enablers, that is the cloud. Iveco is investing a lot in the cloud because we think that is one of the most innovative, open, and scalable solutions to support our business and our products. On this slide, you can see some of the most important mega trends that are peculiar for my company. But this evening with you, I want to focus on 2 of the most important pillars for us this evening, that are the AI-based services and the autonomous driving. But now I want to hand over the speech to Alessandro that will present how AWS ProServe has supported the Iveco Group in this digital journey.
Thank you, Francesco. When we started our collaboration years ago, AWS proposed a prescriptive guidance based on AWS approach. And you see here in the slide how every time we start from the working backwards methodology to identify a problem or an opportunity that we agree together with our customer, in this case, Iveco. It's a very important step. This is the crucial one, because identifying what we want to achieve and the business outcome, we consider them as a beacon to illuminate all the following steps. As far as we agree on the working model, we then define how to arrive to the realization of it through typically minimal viable product realization. And as far as tangible results are ready, we then propose the result to our key stakeholders in Iveco to have the buy-in to go beyond and realize the industrialization. The industrialization is then supported not only by ProServe, but also by the various Iveco business units and our partners. How to achieve it? There is an important message that we consider every time. And let me mention a report from Gartner that was released at the beginning of this year, mentioning that only the 10% of specifically generative AI proof of concept that has been realized in 2023 has been transformed in production this year. So it's very important then to define properly a mechanism that works to allow to govern the way to go for the industrialization. And here is where the framework that we embrace together with Iveco comes in, that is the scale agile approach. If you want to scale your experimentation, you have to be strongly organized. And through this approach, we define at the basis what is called the portfolio backlog. This is basically a repository that contains all the main strategic initiatives in a transparent way, acting as a single point of truth for the internal company, all the business units and suppliers that are working for enterprises like Iveco. In this way, we also have a methodology that reinforces the concept of minimal viable product. From a start small and think big approach, we continuously have to bear in mind to release the value for the end users that can be internal or outside of the company, And we have to prepare a roadmap to achieve the final result. This is a way that allows us to iteratively during the year to review through program increments the way to prioritize your backlog and meets also the possible change that could arise during the year itself, such as adapting to some business change, to facing the budget and other constraints, but also to learn and change your internal process, so adjust even if challenges arise during the execution. This is an iterative process, and it's very important to be humble in this journey, to admit the fact that we have to unlearn what we learned in the past. So this is not an easy, and it's not a given, because we basically are not starting from a clean sheet. So bearing in mind this approach, we have to act in the processes internally and to onboard the various business units. So this is just to testify the fact that with ProServe, you can act either on the technology side, but also on the processes side. But now, let's enter more in details for today's session. We are going to present 3 different examples that apparently can be owning to different domains, but they share a common pattern. We decided, in fact, to concentrate on internal processes and on Iveco employees that will allow them to concentrate more on realizing value for the end users, such as drivers and the fleet manager. And thanks to the AI and the virtualization of the real hardware, we can reduce the amount of repetitive and not so effective tasks. The first one is in the world of software-defined vehicle. Let me just ask you, how many of you know what software-defined vehicle is in this room? Not that many. Okay, let me give you a simple explanation. So software-defined vehicle is that kind of vehicle that operates and focuses mainly on the software for managing the functionalities of the vehicles themselves compared to the traditional cars that are built around mechanical frameworks. So the first step that we are going to present starts from the challenges that Iveco as EOM faced. So let me give back the stage to Pierfrancesco, who will share what the first steps were and the challenges are.
Thanks, Alessandro, again. Today we want to be focused on the automotive software development as well on a cloud-based solution. Furthermore, we want also to talk about our idea to apply an agile approach in order to simplify and, let me say, to minimize the complexity of the development of automotive software. The main issues that have been concerned by our employees are related basically to the missing consistency of the environmental development environment, as well the slow and complex setup process that might take 6-8 weeks. Last, we have also a long feedback loop. It means that before receiving back some feedbacks from the development environment, we might wait for weeks or months. We have also to say that our employees are often to deal with more than 50 tools with problems connected to the licensing, hardware, etc. And this slows down extremely the speed with which we develop the software. And lastly, we have a huge dependency from the hardware that in many cases also this time slow down the start of development process. So I will give back again the speech to Ale that will present the solution from AWS ProServe.
Thanks, Pierfrancesco. Let me introduce the proposition that AWS ProServe realized for Iveco that is called Virtual Engineering Workbench, or also known with the acronym of VEV. You see here in the slide, in the center, this solution is acting to democratize the way to work in between the different business units. And let me start sharing who are the end user of this solution. Starting from the left side, For sure, we start from the software developers. They are the ones to create the code, the models, and all the technology stacks that are the basis of the software that Iveco is realizing. They interact with the quality team that validates the software releases, and also with the product and project managers and the related team to define priorities, software release cycles, etc. Shifting on the right side of the slide, we see that a special mention is on the software integrators. This is a way that is a foundation for the solution that allows the solution to scale on different use cases and not have a specific buy-in on a software vendor. In this case, Iveco nowadays, and even in the future, can adapt third-party tools according to specific need and specific use case that the company will need to realize. And in the end, we got also the tester, last but not least. They are the ones involved in any release, basically, for the different stages, from the integration to quality test to load and performances, just to mention some of them. Now, let me spend a few minutes about the security of this solution. The security, we know, is always the first priority, especially in something that is, let's say, organizing and reorganizing the ways of work of the people in the company. So we have to bear in mind that this solution is taking care about the entire lifecycle management of the environment provisioning with the integration with the Iveco system, as well as all the releases of the environment that are running underneath the solution. And you've seen here before which are the many user personas that are involved. It means that depending on the profile, the solution allows to have an authentication and authorization layer that enable only certain types of functionalities. Everything is managed in a consistent way and should be also scalable to allow to upgrade and have an evolution according to patching and updates. Virtual Engineering Workbench is founded on three main pillars. The first one are the tools. So let's consider, just to explain, all the enablers that are in place to allow the end user to realize their end use cases. The real core is basically instead the targets. We said at the beginning that one of the pain points is the availability of the real hardware. So one of the goals, mainly the main goal of Virtual Engineering Workbench is realizing a feature parity of the real hardware that, according to the various use case, can meet almost 100% depending on the maturity of the level that you want to achieve. And underneath, everything is managed through AWS infrastructure in a multi-tenant and globally assisted way. What is really Virtual Engineering Workbench? It is a cloud-based native serverless web application that allows the end user to connect and then to deploy their virtual targets. It's a multi-tier application where the backend acts as a middle layer, and it integrates with all Iveco main system in order to have the integration also in a secure way on predefined tools through a CI/CD pipelines. We see here in the slide just an example of, just to mention some user personas, developers, testers, and integrators on how they are served by the solution. So they connect basically in a single sign-on through this web client that acts as an AWS portfolio where predefined and configured use cases are already available, and they can interact in a secure way with the system. The user don't have to spend every time on concentrating on the security and repetitive tasks again, but they are already inheriting all the security stuff. This solution is in fact integrated in a pre-existing landing zone and identity federation, for example, for the login, etc., etc. Now, let me start explaining the first use cases that we have realized with Virtual Engineering Workbench in the first MVP. And it refers to the feature parity level 1. To be concrete, it is related to the digital cockpit. In this high-level architecture diagram, you see on the very bottom what's happening in the real hardware. You got basically the infotainment and the instruments you got in your vehicle, and they are served from an ARM CPU with an hypervisor where the operating system runs and also the Iveco application run. Everything in the case of Iveco is Android Auto operating system. You see the mapping here on the digital twin side on AWS Cloud, where everything runs within the VPC, and there is a combination of a cluster of EC2 instances serving the tools that the user are addicted to use. This problem is already solved actually since 2023. From the CPU side, everything is managed through the virtual I/O, while for rendering the user interface, the WebRTC protocol is managed. But we don't want to stop here. This is just the first step. We want to scale beyond, and if we go, for example, to feature parity level 1+ or 2, just to mention if you're familiar with ADAS or hyperscale computing, the CPU side is already available. We have to do some consideration in relation of the hardware, but it can be achieved through Outpost or similar kind of tools. If we go even beyond level 2+, that Iveco is already experimenting, the technology is running very fast. What we expect is that in the next 2 years, the ARM CPUs are evolving with the Corellium support, and Graviton 3 and 4, you've seen the announcement also at this re:Invent, are evolving very fast, and we expect they will be able to serve also feature parity level 2+. But now, let's see in action a pre-recorded demo of what Virtual Engineering Workbench is, where we see that we are connected with a kind of super user to give you the glance of all the menus that are at disposal of this kind of administrative user. So predefined workbenches are available with all the virtual targets that we have realized in the Iveco interaction. And if we scroll down in the menu, we see also the administrative tasks. Now, let's hear the hat of a developer. And from within the Virtual Engineering Workbench, we can directly launch the tools like Android Studio that we'll see in a while, running underneath AWS infrastructure, where testers or developers can code their application, they can test it, debug it, install it in the final target, which is Android Auto operating system. And also, the debug can be run and executed from within the workbench to open the final operating system simulator. From here, the tester or developers can see their application installed, they can launch it, debug it, etc., etc. And everything is managed from a centralized way. Similarly, we have realized a second use case that is related to an hypervisor, which is the QNX1, where the Iveco application is installed and similarly can be run, executed, and debugged. But now, to see the outcomes of the solution, let me give back to Pierfrancesco, who will share the Iveco outcomes.
This solution brings significant business outcomes, impacting on productivity and efficiency. In terms of efficiency, we are sure that we can reduce by 95% the time needed to ramp up the developers. As well, we can impact by 30% the efficiency of the software development team. Let me say that we're going to improve also in terms of the environmental provisioning, given the fact that being more controlled and given that each employee, a developer has not to take care of the setup of the environment, they will be focused and concentrated on only developing the software. Concerning the safety, we have also to say that also in this case, the environment will be the same of everyone, and each employee won't be needed to take care of the processes of Iveco Group in terms of security. So let me again pass the ball to Alessandro that will introduce the GenAI-based solution. But before doing this, we have to also to change from the Virtual Engineering Workbench to our Gen AI-based solution, like the knowledge management and the technical drawings. We have to say that we started applying Gen AI in Iveco Group almost 1 year in the middle of 2023. And we started working with a POC on knowledge management. Now, after one intense, let me say, and exciting year, we will see where we are, also thanks to the support of AWS ProServe. We will see a couple of use cases. The first one is, as anticipated before, on knowledge management, and the second one is on technical drawings. Let me start from the first use case, the smart knowledge management. In Iveco Group, we have 100,000 documents which information are not so easy retrievable with a simple open search. That's the reason why we got the idea to use the power of Gen AI as a technical enabler. Given the fact that all our documentation is a technical documentation, we wanted to be sure that on top of having a tool capable to retrieve in natural language way the information got from the document, we want also to be sure that the answers have enough level of reliability. That's the reason why we defined also some engineering targets. Regarding the reliability, we set up a target of 80%. As well, we want also to achieve a 90% of info retrieval time reduction. The main challenge that we have to tackle has been to deal with the poor organization of our data in our databases. That's the reason why we started also to organize the data in a better way in our company. But now let me hand over the speech to to Marco, that will present the solution.
Thanks, Pierfrancesco. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Marco Guerriero, and I'm a senior manager at AWS Professional Services, working on data and Gen AI with a distributed team of builders across France and Europe South. So thanks, Pierfrancesco, for outlining the background of the project. As you have seen, Iveco Group aims to leverage generative AI to improve access to their vast amount of technical documentation. From this example, you can see why, relying only on foundational models, we will not be able to accomplish this specific task. For example, when we ask ISKM to answer a specific question about the electric control unit of Iveco Group, the solution will fail in answering this specific question simply because foundational models alone are not grounded to specific knowledge base from Iveco Group. And this is exactly where RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, comes in handy. I'm sure you have seen RAG for the past 2 years, so I will go very quickly over this slide, because today I really want to focus on the key ingredients that were crucial to move a POC into a production environment. But just very briefly, a RAG is a way to combine large language models with the real-time information retrieval. And having this retrieval module searching for relevant information from pre-processed private Iveco Group data is possible to provide as output an informed response that is hooked to specific knowledge base of Iveco Group. Now, if, for example, we ask the same question that we asked before to ISKM, but with a RAG in place, you will see that the answer that before was very vague and very generic, this time is actually very well grounded to Iveco Group knowledge base. Now, let's move to the 4 key ingredients that were crucial for Iveco Group to build a secure, reliable, and efficient solution that is meeting Iveco Group business objectives and also enhancing the overall efficiency at Iveco Group. So we start with performance optimization. With this layer, we ensure that ISKM provides quick and efficient access to the required information, optimizing for accuracy, response time, data retrieval, and overall user experience. Then we move to security and compliance. Security and compliance are paramount in the design of ISKM. We are implementing robust measures like Amazon Cognito that is seamlessly integrated with the Iveco Group IDP, which stands for Identity Provider, for secure user authentication and access control. We are leveraging Amazon Bedrock guardrails as a responsible AI capability and to safeguard user privacy. We are using AWS Private Link integrated with VPC endpoints to keep all the traffic within AWS network, and this will also limit the exposure to public internet. The third pillar in this list of 4 ingredients is the cloud operating model and automation. This approach is critical for ensuring scalability, reliability, and efficiency. We are leveraging infrastructure as a code tools like AWS CDK, AWS CloudFormation, and Terraform to automate and version control our infrastructure. This enables consistent and repeatable deployments across environments. For continuous integration and continuous deployment, we are integrating Azure DevOps that has been in use at Iveco Group for many years with AWS services. In this way, we can create a seamless pipeline for building, deploying, and testing Gen AI applications. Let me also tell you that this automation extends also to configuration management to make sure that the solution remains up-to-date and performant. So by leveraging the best practice from the DevOps world together with cloud-native tools, we are not just deploying Gen AI application at scale, we are actually enabling Iveco Group with a foundational operating model that can be adapted to Iveco Group needs, accelerating innovation while maintaining operational excellence. The last layer in this stack is represented by testing and monitoring. Within testing and monitoring, we establish a comprehensive testing and evaluation framework to ensure the quality, reliability, and usability of the solution. We implement a range of testing strategies from unit test to integration test, all the way to the user acceptance test to validate the system performance. We also regularly conduct usability testing and user feedback surveys to gather insights on the solution and to identify potential room for improvement. We establish key performance indicator and metrics to measure the effectiveness of the solution, such as user satisfaction, knowledge reuse, and content quality. And we implement also a feedback loop to incorporate user feedback into the ongoing development and enhancement of the solution. But let me tell you that across all 4 pillars, the human-centered approach was our guiding principle. And this involves prioritizing user needs and pain points, engaging with end user, and involving all the subject matter experts and internal stakeholders at Iveco Group to make sure that we built a very cohesive team and an inclusive team, providing very tailored, customized, comprehensive training for these people, responsive support, all in all fostering a culture of continuous learning and knowledge sharing within the organization. But now it's time for me to hand it over back to Pierfrancesco, who will share with you the business outcomes that we were able to achieve with this solution.
Thanks, Marco. So as you can see in this slide, from Iveco Group, we really believe that the power of Gen AI can improve significantly our productivity. We have measured after one year of production up to 90% of info retrieval time reduction. Regarding the info accessibility, we are measuring in these weeks how many new researches are done by our employees, and we estimate that we can reach a 50% of new researchers compared to the old system when we do not have yet the Iveco knowledge management system. Regarding the data consistency, we can say that we can reduce by 40% the number of mistakes that we have in our documentation. Because many times it happens that we have the same info present in different documents, but with different values. Lastly, but a very important point, is that we can also achieve an important company saving, because thanks to the documents creation, we can reduce by 50% the money needed to create this document. But now we can present the second use case that we have introduced some minutes ago, that is the Iveco Group Smart Technical Drawings. The background is very similar to the precedent use case, but here we are trying to apply the same concept to the technical drawings. The idea now is to apply on top of the Gen AI also the capabilities of the computer vision, because as you know, the technical drawings are not simple documents, but we will see this in 1 minute. Also in this case, we set up some targets, so the idea was to realize a tool that might be capable to distinguish a mechanical component from other mechanical components, like a piston from a connecting rod, for example. And it's also to extract this information present in the drawings with a certain accuracy. In this case, we had to deal with some challenges, and as I was mentioning before, the biggest one is to distinguish mechanical component and also to distinguish the different quotas that we have in the same drawings. You can imagine that in a single drawing, we can have more than 50 different quotes. So the tool might be capable to distinguish from an interax or a diameter. Let me hand over to Marco regarding the solution that has been prepared by AWS.
Thanks, Pierfrancesco. So given the challenges that Pierfrancesco just shared with us, we decided to approach this challenging problem with multimodal solution. Multimodal AI helps us in rethinking how we can extract complex information from these very difficult drawings that are very hard and challenging to interpret. Now, what is multimodal AI? I want to dive deep in the multimodal AI with the lenses of multimodal embeddings. So I think my daughter will like this chart. So imagine searching for a cat in a collection of animal images. Traditionally, you will rely on either text description or image analysis. But with multimodal embeddings, we can represent both images and text in a shared high-dimensional vector space that these days goes by the name of embedding space. In this space, semantically similar items are mapped close together. For example, this black cat in this space will be very close to the text description that says a small furry mammal. Now, apply this to our mechanical drawing use case. We often need to identify, as Pierfrancesco was mentioning before, specific components in complex diagrams. By embedding visual representation of the valve, for example, and associated text annotation into a shared joint space, we can enhance our search capabilities. So you might think of, OK, with multimodal AI, multimodal embeddings, our job is done. This is not actually the reality, because while multimodal AI is very powerful, extracting complex information from technical drawings often requires a multi-step approach. So we need to decompose this problem into sub-problems that are more manageable. And manageable by leveraging different specialized algorithms. For example, in the next slides, we will see how AI agents can orchestrate these steps from, for example, optical character recognition and image segmentation to human hints, creating a more robust and flexible workflow for tackling these very intricate challenges. But what are AI agents? So over the past few months, we are seeing a paradigm shift from AI-assisted information retrieval to direct task execution. AI agents, in a nutshell, are software programs that can interact with the environment, collect data, and execute tasks according to the user-defined goals. In this way, we are not just entrusting prompts to AI, we are entrusting entire workflows. Agents leverage multiple models and tools, external calls to API calls to external libraries, and in this way, they continuously evaluate results and optimize processes. This approach unlocks new value opportunities and enhances user engagement with AI technologies. Now, how do we help customers and Iveco Group implementing AI agents within AWS? The answer is Amazon Bedrock agents. With Amazon Bedrock agent, you can create an agent in just a few clicks by first selecting the foundational models of your choice and providing it access to your company enterprise data systems and integrating it with the other AWS services like Lambda functions. You can create this agentic AI workflow that can stick together all the different steps that you need to achieve your specific business outcomes. Now, let's see how we leverage this agentic AI workflow to solve this very challenging problem. The solution is designed to answer the question, which is the intake valve outer diameter? The workflow begins with a full technical drawing, the full image. The full image is then segmented using open source framework. For example, in this case, we leverage SAM2, which is an open source provided by Meta. And this step will break down the complex image into more manageable parts. Within the relevant section of the drawing is crop for further analysis. And the crop image undergoes text extraction, leveraging Amazon services like Amazon Textract and Amazon Recognition for OCR, for optical character recognition. This step is very important because it pulls out key measurements related to the part that we are trying to interpret. Then we also leverage dense matching for aligning and for further highlighting, as you can see from the red rectangle in this image, the part that most likely will contain the answer that the user, Iveco Group user, is looking for. And last but not least, the extract information from this layer, from this step, will feed a reasoning layer represented by Amazon Bedrock. This layer interprets the data to formulate the final answer, which in this case is the intake valve diameter is 33 millimeters. But this question might sound not super complex because we are just talking about extracting values from complex diagrams. We can actually apply the same methodology to answer more complex questions, to move away from just extracting values, alphanumerical values from drawings, and moving towards reasoning. For example, if we ask the solution to provide the value for the board pitch, the solution, in this case, will understand that the board pitch is given by the sum of the two radius of the two contiguous circles representing the cylinder bores in an internal combustion engine. Now, after giving you a gist of the solution, it's time for me to introduce Teddy to all of you. So Teddy is not a bear, it's the name we gave to the solution that stands for Technical Drawing Data Interpretation. Teddy has a chat-like interface where user can input questions. In the example shown, someone is asking what is the maximum diameter of the exhaust valve mushroom. Teddy then processes this question and provides an answer based on information retrieved by the Iveco Group digital archives. The answer is structured in 3 subparts. There is a specific answer to the question, returning the maximum diameter, a zoom-in portion of the technical drawings, highlighting the relevant part, and a list with all the additional measurements related to the valve. The full technical drawing can then be viewed by clicking on the zoom image, and the full drawing here reveals the complexity of the original problem, illustrating the different and multiple components involved in the design of the valve. The interface also includes options for the user to provide their feedback on the answer with thumbs up and thumbs down. So as I told you at the beginning of my talk, it's very important to incorporate the user feedback with a human-centered approach. So it's now time for giving the ball back to Pierfrancesco, who will walk us through the business outcomes that Teddy was able to achieve.
Thanks, Marco. Okay, also in this second use case, the first KPI is regarding the reduction of the time needed to retrieve information from the drawings. Regarding the second KPI as well for the ISKM, we want to increase the number of queries that our employees can make in terms of info retrieved by the technical drawings. Another important KPI is related to the reduction of mistakes that we have in our technical documentation. You have to know that in our company, many technical documents are generating starting from the technical drawings. Last but not least are the company saving, because imagine that many times it happens that when we have to create new small components, instead of looking in our archives, we prefer to start drawing the component from the scratch. As well, the handling of the new part numbers that we have to generate every time we create a new component. But let me say that after the explanation and description of what we are doing, what the next from Iveco? Before introducing the vision of that Iveco has regarding how the vehicles will look like in the next years, let me present to all of you a quote from our Chief Technology and Digital Officer that I will try to synthesize in few words. Iveco, of course, will keep going the customers in the center, and we will try to maintain the flexibility to go in terms of needs of our customers. Of course, we want to continue innovating by introducing new services AI-based, and very important, we want to continue leveraging of important partnership with partners like AWS. Regarding the vision that we have of the next vehicle, of course, this is an imaging that is very creative. You can imagine how it has been realized. But we imagine a vehicle that will keep centralized the driver experience. And of course, we want to progressively introduce more and more new services based on AI. This will be done thanks to a massive adoption, of course, of AI. In particular, we imagine a vehicle that will be hyper-connected. That means that we will have, thanks to creation of an ecosystem of highly connected and communicating vehicle. As well, we have mentioned some slide before, the autonomous driving. Of course, we want to develop vehicles that are capable to drive by themselves and letting the driver to make other tasks. Lastly, we think that the vehicle will be communicating each other, so the vehicle-to-vehicle technology, as well as vehicle-to infrastructure. So the vehicle will be capable to capture information from the roads, from the infrastructure surrounding the vehicle. So now we are at the end of the story. Let me hand over for the last time the speech to Alessandro for the conclusions.
Thank you, Pierfrancesco. It has been a pleasure to have you and Iveco on stage with us today. Thank you, Marco, for your support. But let me thank you, all of you that attended the session today. And a special thanks also for the people that are working on a day-by-day to achieve those results with all their enthusiasm. So now, kind reminder, if you can spend a few minutes for completing the survey in the mobile app. And here you got our contacts if you want to get in contact with us in the future. And now we are here close to the stage if you want to provide us any of your immediate question. Thank you all, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.